Namaste, Susie here. Welcome to SM Yoga. And today I am going to help you do a guided meditation for the winter solstice. You could do this in meditation anytime, but I had in mind the winter solstice in particular because it is upon us. Before we start, a couple things. Since we will be sitting in meditation for a short while, I think it's a good idea to set up your seat first so that you don't have to mess around and do it after we get started. If you want to sit in a chair to meditate, that's totally fine. I have my chair here. If you would like to sit on the floor, which is not required for meditation, but you can if you want, make sure that when you sit down, you notice I have a bolster and a pillow on top of the bolster to sit up nice and tall. Also, I want my knees and hips to be about level. So if you sit down on the floor and your knees are way up high, put something under your seat so that you can sit in that relationship with your knees and hips level. Doesn't have to be cross-legged. You could sit kneeling if that's really comfortable for you, or virasana. Anything is really fine. If you're going to sit cross-legged, sometimes it's nice to have blocks or something else to put under the legs just for a little support. The idea of finding a comfortable seat for meditating is that you want the body to be able to settle down and sort of fade into the background a little bit. So if the way that you're sitting throws you into any sort of discomfort or distracts your mind from your meditation, it's just going to take you out of the meditation, right? So you want to find that comfortable seat where you can just settle down, and maybe thinking of maybe 10 minutes, 10 to 15 that will be actually sitting. The first part will be a little guided meditation, and then we'll sit in silence just for a couple minutes after that. So the other thing I want to introduce before we really get started is the idea of the mantra and sort of the theme that we're working with for today. So we're using a mantra today called Satyam. Now, I know that some people aren't really familiar with mantra, or are kind of wondering what that is. It's nothing mystifying. It's words that we repeat. This one is very simple, just 2 syllables, sat, yam. We link it to the breath. Sat means truth or purity. Yam is the sound associated with the heart chakra, which we're working with today. So together, Satyam, you could say it means pure heart, or another interpretation I've heard that I really like is harmonizing your emotional expression. So it's nothing religious, it's nothing mystical really, it's just in another language. If you're not comfortable, you want to come up with your own mantra, just choose 2 words, preferably 1 syllable each, and you can repeat them instead of Satyam. One I've used before that I have taught before, I really like, is live, love, live, love. So you can try that or anything else that you like. The idea of the mantra is also to give our mind something to do so that the mind can have that focus, and we can work on just focusing on the mantra, and again, letting other distractions fall away, we hope. So that's the goal. If you are meditating and you find your mind wandering or being distracted, welcome to the club. This is called being human. So whenever that happens, you just want to say, oh, there I go again. Let me go back to my mantra, to my breath, or whatever else we might be focusing on as we do our guided meditation. So we'll get started. Find your comfortable seat. If you want to stay in the chair the whole time, you can meditate in the chair. Most of the things we'll do before we actually meditate, you can do in the chair or standing up. If you're comfortable on the floor, you can stay right where you are. So get that comfortable seat going. first thing we're going to do is a balancing practice. It has to do with the breath, but also balancing the two sides of the body. So we want that to be happening also when we meditate, right? So we're going to do this eyes closed. If you ever need to open your eyes and look at me to understand what I'm saying, you can always do that. Or you can just keep your eyes sort of half closed, gazing down at the floor. We're going to do this practice crossing the hand. So the right hand is going to go in first underneath the left armpit, and then the left arm goes on top and then goes underneath the right armpit. So your left hand is outside. I'm doing the same side as I'm teaching. So you'll feel the tips of your fingers right around, it's between about the 4th or 5th rib underneath your armpit on the sides of your body. So the fingertips are just lightly pressing in there. Don't jab them in. Let them rest, and then drop the elbows down as much as possible. And you can close your eyes, as I said, or just gaze down, soften the gaze down towards the floor. And then start to focus on your breath. And you might feel a little bit of movement as you breathe in and out. In your hands, in your fingers, in your arms, as they're crossed over the upper chest. Just breathing in and out through the nose. Otherwise, not really trying to do anything special with the breath as of yet, just inhaling and exhaling. And observe the breath. So of course, as we observe something, it usually starts to change. If you feel your breath getting a little bit slower, starting to quiet down a little bit, you're going in the right direction. If for any reason it's going in the wrong direction, you're feeling more anxious, then just release your arms and sit with your arms on your lap, hands on the lap, and just breathe like that. A couple more breaths like this. Then we're going to switch the fold of the arms. So slide your right hand out from underneath, take it to the outside, and then tuck it back in. Again, dropping the elbows down as much as is comfortable, and a little tiny bit of pressure with the fingertips on those side ribs. At any point you would like to introduce the mantra, you can start repeating it to yourself silently. I'm going to say it out loud a few times just so you can get the sound, and then later we'll just be repeating it to ourselves silently. So on the inhalation, Sat. Exhalation, Yam. Sat. Yam. You can say it out loud with me. You could just repeat it to yourself silently. One more breath cycle, and then just release the hands down to the lap. Before we do our seated meditation, we'll do a short asana sequence just to make sure the body can reach that state of settling down when we sit. So again, you can do this in the chair or on the floor on your yoga mat. You don't even really need a mat if you have rug or carpeting. I have a mat on top of a rug, so I'm all set. So you'll just come onto your hands and knees. If you prefer to stay in your chair, in a moment I'll show how to do everything seated in the chair, but I'll show on the floor at first. So basically we're going to be linking our breath, mantra, and movement here through this short sequence. So on all fours, tuck the toes underneath. First, inhale for cow, arching the back. And just listen for that sound, Sat. Exhale, yum. Point the toes and go back to child's pose. Next, inhale, all the way up, standing on your knees, sat, reaching the arms up, and then coming back down to child's pose, hands down in front of you, yum. We'll do one more time like that. Inhale, cow, sat. Exhale, child's pose, yum. Inhale up, sat. Exhale, yum. So it's just 4 poses, including 2 child's poses. So not too complicated. Now I will show if you want to do this seated. If you're doing it on the floor, you can just continue a couple more times. If you're going to do it seated, you'll join in with me. So seated, make sure your feet are flat on the floor and separate the feet a little bit wide apart. First, we'll just inhale for a seated cow. So just as we're doing on the floor, inhale, arch the back, sat. Yum. Just gonna fold forward. You can keep your hands on top of the legs for support. Depending on how far you fold forward, you might put the hands all the way down to the feet. It's up to you. And then next inhalation, sat. Reach the arms up. And then yum, fold again. So just like on the floor, it's 4 poses, right? Inhale, cow, sat. Exhale, yum, fold. Inhale, sat, reach up. Exhale, yum. Let's continue one more time. I'll say it out loud this round. Inhale, cow, sat. Exhale, fold, yum. Inhale, arms up, reach, sat. Exhale, yum. Let's do a few more rounds. You can say the mantra silently. I'm going to say it out loud just maybe a couple more times. If at any time you're starting to feel tired, you can always just stop and wait. But it's not going to be too long. I'll say 2 more rounds speaking. Sat, yum. Sat, yum. And if you know it well, you can close your eyes. Sat, yum. Sat, yum. And then just continue on your own. Maybe 2 to 3 more rounds. Next time you come to your child's pose, just stay there and we'll all meet in child's pose. And then we'll come up to downward facing dog one time. There's an option to do this standing up. If you're seated in the chair, you can just stand up and I'll show you in one moment how to do your standing dog. If you're on the floor, you just do your regular downward facing dog. If you're going to stand up, what you would want to do is come to the back of your chair or turn the chair around. See if I have enough room. I'm not going to run into my Christmas tree. So just back up from your chair With your hands on the back of the chair, you're forming the same shape as your down dog, but you're standing up. Holding that a few more breaths. And then lower down. If you're on the floor, you can go back to child's pose. If you're going to use your chair, you can go back to just sitting in the chair, folding forward. And then slowly sit up and make your way to your seated position where you're going to meditate. So we did do a lot of child's pose in that sequence. Child's pose is also sometimes called seal, not the animal, but the seal, like you seal a letter, because we're starting to try to seal our energy inward. So that's why we want to do a lot of seal pose. We're going to do 2 side stretches seated. So just as you are, whether you're in the chair, on your prop, you're just going to take side stretch over to one side and over to the other. Let's not worry about the order that you do that in. Just open up the sides of the body a little bit. One more time each side. And then come to center, and now we'll find that comfortable seated position. And make sure if you're crossing your legs, maybe you want to switch the crossing of the legs. If you always cross one way, this might be an opportunity to put the other leg in front, just to balance things out a little bit more. If maybe your legs start to fall asleep in the middle of the meditation, anything starts to bother you, you can always quickly shift, recross or whatever you need to do. Again, if the body is not cooperating and is getting you distracted, you need to maybe move a little bit to get it to a place where you can settle down. So when we start the guided meditation, I'll be talking about inhaling and exhaling. Just remember, you can use your mantra Sat Yam throughout, linking that to your breath. One more thing we're going to use is a mudra. This is called Ankara Mudra. It's very simple. With your right hand, your index finger and your thumb pressed together as if you're pinching them together. So not making a circle as you would with the tips of your fingers, but more pressing them together along the pads of the fingers. And then the other fingers are just going to relax and do whatever. So you're going to take those 2 fingers, and the left hand is relaxed on your lap. Your Ankara Mudra, 2 fingers will go right towards your solar plexus, pointing up. So the fingers are pointing to your heart center, your Anahata chakra, and this is a heart light meditation. So that's why we're going to have the fingers there for just a little while, and then we'll release the hand down to the lap. So don't worry, your hand's not going to get too tired. You want to have a little tiny bit of pressure there, just so you can really feel the tips of the fingers on your body. So again, you can close your eyes or just soften the gaze, gazing down at the floor. If your eyes are open, just try to find one point on the floor to gaze at. If you have a carpet with pattern, just pick one little dot of that pattern and just keep your gaze right on that spot. And we'll start again with the breath. Sat for inhaling, Yam for exhaling. Relax your jaw and soften the roof of the mouth. At your heart center, where your fingers are pointing, visualize a glowing, warm ball of light. And with each inhalation, the ball expands. And with each exhalation, it contracts just a little bit. As you continue to breathe, the light from this ball of light starts to move slightly down into your body. From the heart center, let the light move down into the abdomen, filling up more and more space. Down to the hip sockets, down to the pelvic floor, starting to fill the whole pelvis with light. Let the light start to move down your legs. Slowly expanding down the thighs, to the knees, suffusing the knees with warmth and light. Down the shins, the calves, Achilles tendon, and the ankles. Everything's starting to glow with this warm light. Let the light move into your feet, the tops of the feet, soles of the feet. And then slowly let it go into each toe. So visualize each toe one by one. The big toes, second toes, third toes, fourth toes, and pinky toes. All receiving this light. Release the mudra with your right hand and let the right hand rest on your lap. Bring the awareness back to the heart center, source of the light. And then let this light start to spread sideways across the top of the chest, throughout the whole rib basket, and then to the shoulders, and then let the light start to move down your arms, all through the upper arms, to the elbows, and then let it flow down the forearms to your wrists. And then reaching all the way into the hands, the back of the hand, the palm, and then let the light start to go into each finger, one by one, starting with the thumbs, index fingers, middle fingers, ring fingers, and pinky fingers. And then imagine in the center of each palm is an extra little ball of light. It's pulsating along with the heart center as you breathe. Going back to the heart center once more. Returning to the source again. Now let the light move up towards the collarbones and into the neck, into the throat, up to the jawline, moving into the whole face, mouth, nose, and eyes. Spreading across the forehead, moving up to the crown of the head, around the sides of the head to the ears, dropping to the back of the head, and then very slowly, like molasses, moving down, backs of the shoulders, and your whole back. Down to the sacrum, down to the buttocks, and curving around to meet the backs of the thighs. So now the whole body has been suffused with the light. Still pulsating gently with your breath. And then visualize that the light fills the field around your body, passing through the skin to expand outward in all directions. And continuing with each breath to fill more and more of the space around you. At any point, you are free to stop the expansion of the light and just breathe. Continuing the mantra. As you continue to breathe, with each exhalation, start to bring the light a little bit closer into you. Bringing everything back to the heart center, just a little bit at a time. Knowing that all the space that the light went into will retain some of its effects, some of its residue. As the light returns to its source once again at your heart center, take a couple deeper, more conscious breaths. And keep your eyes closed or still softly gazing downwards at one spot. Touch the tip of your tongue to the ridge behind your front teeth on the roof of your mouth. Just applying a little pressure there. And then lift your hands up in front of you without touching them together. Try to bring them so close that you can feel the warmth between your palms without touching. Finally, letting the palms touch. Rub the hands lightly together, making sure each fingertip and the thumb tips get a little friction between them. And then lift the hands and cup the eyes with your palms. Letting the eyes bathe in the warmth from the hands. And once again, press the palms together and touch the base of the thumbs to the center of the brow bone, slightly above eye level, pressing in gently there. And then move the hands, open them up to cross one on top of the other to your throat, just gently wrapping the hands around the throat. Again, using the warmth of the hands to bathe the throat. Keeping the hands crossed, bring them down to the very, very top of the chest, just very top of the sternum. Pressing in gently there. And then lower the hands to come to the heart center, still having the hands crossed. Press in. Now the two balls of light in your palms and the heart center itself are coming together. The light can regenerate even more. And next, just move the hands down to the roots of the thighs, sliding the heels of the hands back till it's right in the hip crease. And then press down with the palms to root yourself down towards the ground once more. Continue taking a couple deeper breaths. Finally, letting the arms relax again. If your eyes are still closed, keep the gaze downward as you slowly open the eyes and keep a visual focus on one point of the floor, maybe just a couple feet in front of you. Stay on that focus as long as you need to feel grounded again. Or if you're ready, raise the face and raise the gaze forward and bring the hands together once again. Bow the head towards the heart. And release the hands once again. I hope you enjoyed this meditation for the winter solstice. Thank you so much for joining me. Stay well. I'll see everyone soon. Namaste.